So let's go and check out this week in Star Citizen news I'm trying to do each week. I know I'll do it while I'm streaming live on Twitch. At the moment, this is what we're doing. So first of all, I'm actually going to do a little mini self-plug. I've updated my website, Deepnausea.live. Added a few things, connections to my referral. Also, I've made the Star Citizen page a little bit better. We've added in the organization's fleet view. Also, instead of having a couple lines of text on some of the builds I use, I've made this quite nice little display of some of the builds I have or I've used. So you can just bang, click onto one. It will load up the Urkel page, and we'll give you the sort of like the loadout I'm doing. This is obviously the Cutty Black. This is what I sort of have had my loadout. So there you go for this one. So since our last news, which is I do every Thursday, you have Invictus. It's now finished. Tons of days with different ships, military ships through. I have to say that my favourite day was Defense Con, the Drake one, because you got to see the Vulture, the Mule came out. I was a little bit disappointed this year, only because, and it's a really petty thing, is they've changed venue of where this thing's going to be at, but the inside was identical. So you went in, and some of the days where it was same ship sort of thing, nothing new and exciting was coming out. If you've been playing this for a while, it was exactly the same hull, exactly the same positions, and it felt it would have been nice if they tried to, because it was in a different place, the hull may have changed the shape or look at least. I know it's a little petty thing, but I thought that would have been nicer. But it's over now. There's some good deals. You at Invictus, you got 120 months insurance on things you bought, so it was pretty cool. Now we have the Inside Star Citizen, which is only 8 minutes, so we'll go and give it a chug. It's going to be involving the Mule. You can obviously check this out when you can.
It's a Drake manufactured ground vehicle.
The Mule
that's called
is
the Mule.
really fun. It's stupidly fun, and it's really cheap.
It's a little on the nose.
Definitely a must. I mean, I use it for doing delivery missions now.
Played Star Citizen and done
just park somewhere out of the way, jump off in your
mission
Mule and ride off, and you can put the crates on the side of the Mule.
The way
then
you have to do it.
zoom back.
And from watching players play these missions, it's clear that there is scope to improve people's lives there.
That has happened
So let's say that
to
you
me
and
and
your
other
friends
ships as well.
have just picked up a cargo collection or cargo delivery mission or something like that. That means that you need to go to a planetside location, manually collect a whole bunch of carryable cargo.
It's usually you pick
and
up
then
three,
cart it to some other location.
and then you deliver them to 3 places, or
The Mule comes
you
in here where you can land your
pick
ship
up
however far
one
away
each
from
time and
the
deliver
location
all
is
3
you
to
need
one place.
Drive the Mule in.
It looks like this chunky industrial thing, but it definitely accelerates, and it nips around.
It's got a skid steer, I think it is. You can turn on the spot sort of thing.
Load it up with 6 carryable boxes, and then drive them all back in one go.
I have to admit though, I have broke it once. When I put something on the side of it, I ended up inside the wheel.
It's kind of like almost low-tech styling. So, for example, chunky pipes in the interior, and they're just quite low-tech.
Also fits in everything.
You
can fit it in the back of Cutlass Blue, which has obviously got all the gubbins and stuff inside.
And size-wise,
so small.
if you can fit a rock on board your ship, you can fit a Mule.
Visually, my favourite part is either the entrance door, because it has these big beaming lights on there that kind of light your way, but it just gives it like a really nice character to it. Or the front arms, as I said, like when they deploy, it just looks like it's trying to give you a hug, and it's just like these little arms that kind of fold out,
cute.
and it makes it look kind of cute. That and like the oversized wheels kind of make it look like a Tonka truck. It's just a cute little thing, you know.
The Drake Mule is a fantastic addition to the game.
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll stop this here, because you can, again, check out the website. You can watch them all in Star Citizen's website. Now, there's the actual game's degraded at the moment. The current state of the game is it works, but there are certain things, and we think it might be to do more with potentially with patch 3.17.1 and the influx of players they got for Invictus. But there was quite a few issues, including some of the AUEC People were losing money, and you'd logged off, logged back on again, and sometimes claims won. So it was getting to the point actually where you were encouraged not to do a character reset as well, because that was a bit buggy. So at the moment, as of today, which is the 2nd of June, it's still classed as a degraded performance. So be careful. If there is any bugs, if you are missing money, if you are sort of doing anything like that, don't rush to go and do a character reset. Just give it a little bit, because they're working on it. It's a little bit up and down at the moment. They had the Star Citizen live, not so live, so obviously it was a pre-recorded this time. Again, it was all a Q&A about vehicles. Please go and check it out. I'm not going to play it here, so now one's 7 minutes long. Now, they've also released their Jump Point magazine. It was also, the reason why I've brought this particular page up is looks like the subscriber gear seems to be sort of this punk gear, just behind my head right now. Just in case anyone's interested, there's like 3 different types of punk gear. I think obviously you get 1 as a basic subscriber, you get 2 as it sort of next level up, the Imperator or whatever, then 1's purchasable. That's what we think is going to be doing. I think they mentioned it as well, so we'll see how that gets on. Here's a sneak peek. It looks like it's just to do with Hurston Dynamics. It looks like it's just to do with cargo. I'm hoping they focus on cargo more than salvage. Personally, that would open up a lot more in the game. Salvage is going to be cool, but remember, salvage is just going to be a very similar sort of thing to mining, but instead of doing rocks, you're going to be doing ships. They still need things like the Expanse to have a full game loop, where you'd come back to the Expanse, dump off your salvage, and that would, you know, be put down to its raw materials and things like that. Whereas with cargo, not only do you open up the whole people who just want to load cargo onto ships and have a little company doing that, to piracy, to being able to take cargo off people. It's a whole big thing going on here. Right, so here's a page for the Drake Mule. The Drake Mule actually wasn't that expensive at all. It's a pretty cute little thing. Also, if you're wanting a cheap LTI token, you can buy a few of these with real money and use them for LTI upgrades later on. But yeah, no, it's a cute little thing. It came in a few different colours. So you've got the base, and then you've got the smokestack, the reburn. I prefer. I like red and black, as you can tell by some of my branding, and the bushwhacker. Yeah, it wasn't that expensive for LTI tokens. There's also a few little packages, including this. I thought this was quite a cool one: the Caterpillar 2 mules and Cutlass Black. But yeah, that's still available, I think. I'm not too sure if it's just for concierge or not. Now, here's the Q&A they released. Is a driver's cabin sealed so that vehicles can use it in harsh environments? It's fully sealed, so it can be used in to protect you from the environment. Can you wear heavy environmental suits? The Mule will fall in line with other vehicles and ships, so it will be offer restrictions or impaired use if you have certain types of armor. I know it's not fully in the game, but they're going to get to the point where if you've got the most massive, biggest chunky armor, you might not get full movement of a ship because your arm physically can't move. Things like that, stuff like that. How well armed is the ship? It's not armored at all. They've mentioned this before. It's not combat. It's nothing to do with combat. It's literally a ship. It's literally a vehicle that could pick up 1 CSU at the front, 1 CSU at the back, and have 6 in total hand boxes, and it just carries it from A to B. That's all it's supposed to do. It will fit in any ship that a Grey Cat Rock will fit into. So that's quite a lot of ships. Like I said, I've got a Cutlass Blue and a Cutlass Red. It will fit into that little airlock bit before you get to the beds or the cryo chambers. So it fits in a lot of things. Maneuverability fast is compared to other ground vehicles. Can it turn on the spot like a forklift? And easily pick up boxes from the rear. It is our first skid steer vehicle, and as such can rotate on the spot. It can. I think it's quite nimble. It takes a second or two to get going, but it's quite nimble for me. They say it's not built for racing, but it's not quick. But then a lot of the ground vehicles aren't slow really when it comes to it. Okay, bull off road. Yeah, basically what they said is the cargo will obviously affect it. So if you've piled up tons of cargo onto it, it's going to be heavier. There's apparently there is a rear view camera that you can use. Apparently it's already in the game. It's just not bound, so you're gonna have to bound it the other way. So let's have a look. Is the CSU fed or dispensed into the back of the vehicle via an automatic process, or do you have to physically push it and pull it? The mechanism at the rear is automated in terms of moving the cargo in and out of the vehicle, but it must be physically attached first by either tractor beam or driving over it. So over it, I presume, means just into it, not like high speed. Pardon me. It says some mission boxes and cargo's unstable, just get protected by that. Basically what they've said with this is, if it's attached, it's protected, but it's still open to the environments. So if as much as it's protected, if you shoot it or you roll the thing over, wherever it hits is not protected. It's sort of like it will take the full brunt of that. So you gotta be careful with that. Let's have a look. It says, can the 6 boxes be loaded manually or on the rails, or is it too high and requires a tractor beam? I've done this myself. You can walk up to it or go put it on. But at the moment, you can't actually use a tractor beam to put them on. You actually have to walk up to it and do it. Because do you know when you go and do a delivery mission, when you go into some of the places with the box, it will say place, and you go and place the item. It's the same thing, but the side of that. Have a look. Are the boxes classed as cargo goods, thus fixing the box in place, or are the boxes at risk of being flung out of rough terrain? Once attached in the saddle, they're locked in place. Yeah, the same sort of thing. The front CSU mount move up to climb steep ramps. The front CSU rises a little, but it does not raise like a traditional forklift. So yeah, that's another thing. It just picks things up and moves them. It doesn't necessarily lift things up like a forklift. I know they keep talking about forklift, but it just picks it up. Picks up one CSU in the front and has a cradle in the back front of the CSU. Front holds the crates high enough to stack 2, or 3, or even 4. Yeah, this has already been sort of done. A few people already apparently in the PTU were doing things like stacking multiple boxes. So when you picked up the bottom one, would it pick up all 4? No, they've made that. It'll slide and fall off. Can be spawned inside hangars we land in, so we can load and unload faster zones. Once we get persistent hangars and update the cargo working system, we'll like to give players various ways to load cargo into their ships. This could be handled either by tractor beam vehicles like the Mule, SFU, or MPUV. That would be pretty cool. I am looking forward to cargo and the persistent hangars. Does the Mule offer personal empty space or weapons rack? They do. It does. It does. The forklift from the bottom, clamp from the sides, or is it simply magnetic? Are there any mechanics that prevent cargo from falling off the forklift? They clamped from the sides. Cargo is kept in place with magnets. Okay. How adjustable is the throttle when handling delicate loading from front and back? The throttle isn't adjustable, but the open world acceleration is slow. It is. I mean, when you get up to full pelt, it's actually quite quick. But you're right, it's got a lot more maneuverability into it. So, you know, you're not looking at doing fine tuning. You're looking at stop and starting it. It'll move little bits and stuff like that. Does the Mule have a backup beeper? Not at the moment. Are the lights capable of illuminating the front of the Mule if it's carrying a cargo box? As the box rises up slightly, the lights will go around and under. So that's pretty cool. So there's a Q&A for the Mule. Here's this week in Star Citizen. So you're looking at, obviously we're about here now. So inside Star Citizen is going to be released later today. Got monthly reports, there's some other Q&As, and then we've got the subscriber flare here. There's been an update to the Galactopedia. Again, check this out. There's been full-length articles done. This is a lot of the lore and things like this, so please go and check it out. It's on their website, and they update it all the time with lore, with things that have happened, with things that they're adding to the game. So they're adding different floras, and they're adding different ship components, and different places, and you know, cities and structures within cities. They've all slowly getting it filled into this website. Alright, so here's the Q&A for the Legionnaire. What conditions must be met for the Legionnaire to dock? For example, does the target ship have to be immobilized and its shields overcome, or does the Legionnaire dock mid-flight? The conditions are the same as current docking to dock as featured with the constellation Merlin, so the ship must be aligned and orientated correctly. This can be done at any speed, although the slower the better. The only difference is Legionnaire can override the docking permissions currently controlled by the ship. So, at the moment, I believe, is if you're Merlin and want to dock with a constellation, you can, but you have to sort of do a little bit of communication and a little bit of, you know, can I dock? Yes, you can, back and forth. So, what it sounds like with this is you basically can choose to dock with something without their permission, because that's what the hacking tools will do. What happens if the target ship quantums while docked? This will quantum with it. It will be classed as the same as docking to another one. So yes, you just go with it. What is the planned range for the hacking capabilities? That's still to be determined. We're testing exclusively to relatively closer, a few kilometers, not dozens or hundreds. So you're going to have to get close. Close, hack it open, and dock. How many players how can players counter the hacking ability? Hacking mechanics is designed to be a gameplay for both sides, hacking and counter hacking. In instances with no other player persistent attempting to board an NPC ship, no Legionnaire scenarios happen to be set up. The counter role will be performed by AI. So basically, as you're hacking it, there's going to be some sort of game on both sides, mini game on both sides to get done. What can be hacked in a target vessel? For example, will it be able to disable or activate self-destruct, open and close airlocks, and manipulate thrusters? The systems are dedicated to a specific task of overriding and overcoming docking air traffic control systems of a target ship. While in verse will suffer challenges by itself, this does not address the command systems of the ship. So basically, you're not going to be able to take over someone's ship, you're not going to be able to self-destruct it. What you'll be able to do is get on board. If you want to self-destruct the ship, then someone has to get to the bridge, basically. What hangar size pads will use? It's extra small. It's not that big, because if you go on to Fleet View, which is a website, you can actually load what ships you have, and it will try and display them in a 3D sort of setting. It's not that big a ship. It's about the same size as a Cutlass Black to a certain degree. Can Legionnaires be used against ships that do not have airlocks, such as the Hercules? Are turret hard points alternative docking breakthrough points, should I say? At the point in time, we can only commit to being able to breach airlock points, both small and large varieties, which means you could obviously do something big like an Idris. But if you look at a Constellation or even a Cutlass Blue and a Cutlass Red, they have small airlocks on the side. You have an airlock on top of things like a Reclaimer and a Caterpillar, so you can dock, you can break into them, or even as small as a Cutlass, as big as a Reclaimer, but it has to have the airlock. While we would like command to be valid breaching points in future via EVA, it is not planned at the moment. Will the dock port tunnel provide any cover for the boarding team? Will it be able to deploy portable barriers? There are portable cover built into the tunnel to help boarding. Oh right, so I didn't see that on the pictures, but it is what it is. There you go. Does have crew facilities, bed, kitchen, things like that? No. It's designed for a complete mission return to base. That makes sense. I mean, there are ships that obviously you can go out and do stuff in. Like Vanguard, you're going to have a whole system. It's designed for long range, you'll have a whole system in there. But then there's going to be other ones that you're designed to do a job and go back. You're not going to stay overnight. That's what it is. What equipment can be transported on board? For example, can we carry heavy weapons or have any weapons brought in the jump seats? There is space on board for both heavy and special weapons and heavy armor. We are working on the core gameplay pillar to ensure that heavy armor cannot be worn in the seats, as not all seats will have this. Restriction. So there you go. Does it have any measures to disguise itself from early detection? No. There is no dedicated feature for this. It requires shields and armor to get to its target. Are the hacking and boarding mechanics unique to the Legionnaire, or will they be available for other electronic warfare platforms? The combination of hacking and boarding is part of the default setup, so while other ships might have the hacking ability, electronic, he actually mentions this, electronic would be blade controlled electronic warfare roles. This was built in. For example, you can upgrade the Vanguard Sentinel to have the hacking system. So basically, you can use the hacking system maybe on the Vanguard Sentinel, but the whole boarding mechanics is a unique thing. It's got this whole retractable sort of tunnel that comes out, so you can potentially have those hacking tools on different ships, but it's not going to have that hacking and boarding combo. How maneuverable will be compared to a Cutlass Steel, Prowler, Vanguard, or Valkyrie? Its maneuverability will be closest to the Steel as the ship progresses during development. We'll reflect this we'll adjust this necessary to reflect its much heavier armor. So I think it's going to be an in-between. How heavy is an armor compared to other ships considered? It takes hits from much larger vessels while boarding. It's designed to take significant fire on approach, so it's relatively heavily armoured compared to other dropships, as much smaller, and much smaller than other Anvil ships such as the Terrapin. The problem is its armour's not in the game at the moment, so it's got like 3 size 1 shields, which at the moment isn't much. What they do, I think, now is if something's supposed to be heavily armoured, they give it a high health pool. Eventually, that will change, and it'll be all to do with armour sections and how armoured the actual vessel is before we even add the whole shield part to it. But we'll see. Who controls the turrets and shields, as in flight or docking? The co-pilot controls one turret and as well the hacking. The pilot controls the turret slave to his view, and also manage the shields. I figured that, because the turret on top facing forward, so that would be the same as the pilot. The turret on the back facing out, so that the co-pilot who's doing the hacking, once he's hacked and got in, will probably jump to the back turret or remote access the back turret and give support for the ship while things are happening. Will the boarding mechanism be possible for NPC crews, or do they have to be real players? Will the Legionnaire be able to use blades to increase its hacking power, or automate it if a crew member isn't present? NPC co-pilots will be available to do the role if no human is present, as this is required to do the counter-hacking gameplay on NPC ships regardless. So you could have an NPC co-pilot and an NPC ship, and they'll both be hacking each other. Or hacking and counter-hacking. Will it be specialised bounty seats or cells to hold criminals? No. It feels like this is more military, sort of, not bounty hunting. I'm quite interested in the Legionnaire. The Legionnaire looks pretty cool. I've got one in buyback. I melted it at the moment. I've got to the point where I kind of melt a lot of ships that are not available and just have them in buyback for when I want to sort of grab it. Right, so the last little part of it is this month's PU report. So what I'm also going to do is have a look at this. So, AI content, focusing on improving the visuals and general AI locomotion. Begin using dynamic conversation tech recently developed by the AI tech team, allowing spontaneous AI conversations. Let's have a look. We've got the AI tech and vehicle features, several improvements on quantum travel and quantum boost. Ships can accelerate while spooling before the actual jump. That'd be interesting. Oscillation calculations was restored to stop NPCs from ignoring hidden enemies while shooting, improving the friendly fire validation, and now assign different factions different behaviors. I know what they're trying to do with that. They're basically, if you've got a very, very high rep with, say, bounty hunting stuff, or like Hurston, the Hurston security won't attack you if you shoot them once by accident. They'll give you a little bit of leeway because you know you're a friend and it was probably an accidental fire. Developers can now control and set up specific AI scenarios across various ships. Maneuvers are currently being ported to this tech. It's pretty cool, pretty cool. So let's have a look. Art ships. Improve the damage map on all ships to prepare for salvage mechanics. An unannounced ground vehicle processed into final art design, not the Mule. There's an unannounced ship coming. It's going into its final design. It's a ground vehicle as well. New ship entering early grey stages. Again, no mention of what ship that is. The Banu merchantman continues to move through grey box. Pretty cool. The Argo SRV, which is their sort of tow truck, begins production and is nearly white box complete. That's pretty cool. This next bit was the only bit disappointing about DefenseCon. They keep showing you so many things about the Drake Corsair, so many of them, and it feels like it's nearly ready. But the Drake Corsair exterior is in grey box. They've done the interior, but the exterior hasn't been done yet. Engines. Let's have a look at the engine. Cool, let's have a look. Worked on additional rope simulations to interact with pulleys, fog volumes, environmental textures, rendering, and reflection optimization report to Gen 12. Cloud rendering ported has begun. Planetary terrain and shadow rendering was improved. Various improvements have been made to the performance. Profiling systems including CPU spike tracking. Cool. CPU performance scaling was disabled on high priority threads to improve speed. Background job manager is now fully asynchronous. Sorry I butchered that. I'm an idiot, so there you go. SOCS improvements were made. Let's have a look. Features for... I've got a little bit of notes here, you see. Improvement. Visual effects using scanning pings on foot, as in how to highlight contacts, interactable, and points of interest. Increase information gathering from objects. Display object states, player, NPC, inventory contents, cause of death, etc. For salvage, creating a model for serialized damage mapping. I just really wish you could put a waypoint. Sounds really weird. Would love to be able to put a waypoint on a map. That's one thing I want to do. Feature vehicles, progress made for Quantum Boost, supporting points of interest and allowing pilots to fly towards highlighted destinations. Which is because some destinations aren't at a particular location, so you have to fly to the closest destination, should I say, like an outpost or a comms array or an OM. And then travel for ages towards wherever this point of interest is supposed to be, because there's no way to jump to it. Set up the balance of new ground vehicle physics to progressing well. Baseline handling is now complete. Let's have a look at some of the graphic stuff. Work on damage mapping continuing last month, with a team focusing on debris. Further Gen 12 Vulcan improvements have been made. A number of bugs have been fixed in the RTT system. More to do with lighting. Continuing to support the Siege of Orison mission. They were hoping to release that, I think, around about Invictus, but I think it's been put back. It's something I'm looking forward to. A lot of the big events in the game at the moment, Nine Tails, Xenothreat, are all sort of space-based with a few little cargo things. Siege of Orison is an FPS thing. It's going to be on Orison. It looks amazing for what I've seen. I cannot wait for it. Providing interest and unique atmosphere and light and day, while ensuring everybody has good player visibility. Space being a fully manned-made exterior location means that a lot of lighting entities and shadows must be rendered. Okay, that's fine. Locations. Let's start at Montreal. Spent the month working on the Reclaimer space missions and Derelict Reclaimer settlement. Now that's pretty cool. I know the space mission, but the Reclaimer settlements would be quite interesting to see. Next stage is to take a proof of concept and see how much more depth can be added. 600i and the Mercury Derelict settlement progression on Daymar. Cool. Rework of Laurel's cityscape is ongoing, so they're reworking Laurel. Nice. landing zone buildings interiors have entered concept phase, because I think at the moment Microtech is the only place where you can literally go and drop off missions on top of some of the buildings. They have like these open spaces that you can land on. You get out and there's like a small lift system where you can drop parcels off and things like that. I think it's only at Microtech that I've seen, unless there's ones that I've missed. It looks like they're doing stuff at Lawville, which would be pretty cool. It would be pretty cool. Alright, so let's look at the last little bit. Integrated of the Mighty Bridge into the editor was completed. The Mighty Bridge I think it was last week or the week afterwards. They talked about it. It's a tool that allows all these different apps to connect together very easily, so whatever you're doing in one doesn't have to be converted and changed. It can be very easily connected to the other ones, and it makes it easier for them to do the whole project. Vegetation scattering V1 is complete, allowing teams to deploy vegetation without collisions, bushes, and entities on planets, surfaces, and objects. Pretty cool. And procedural location creation tool is progressing well. And I forget about this. I forget that it's as much as you know, we want to see this game, you know, get done and completed and hurry up. There is quite a lot of this game that is having to be made. The tools are still needing to be made and done and created before we even get to the point where the tool is being used to actually make stuff that we see in the game. That's pretty cool for Reclaim, isn't it? That looks like a settlement because it's got little doors and stuff like that. So that looks like a cool menu of a settlement. So yeah, there's so much stuff that needs to be done, and I forget they have to actually build half this shit before you even get to it. But yeah, that had been beg your pardon. That has been the last week. Quite a lot this week. And there you go. So I'll be streaming tonight, all over the weekend. Probably doing a lot of Mule gameplay just to try it out and chuck it into a Cutlass Black and see if I can spin it around inside and do the shocking thing of taking two delivery missions and seeing if we can fill the whole thing, and off we go. But we'll see. We'll see how we get on. I'll be chucking this up onto YouTube and obviously do another one next Thursday. So thanks very much, and I'll hopefully see anybody tonight with Twitch.